Spirituation, justice to God's people. The New Jerusalem is coming.
I am thinking about forever. And just how it's gonna be. I am thinking about forever. And just how it's gonna be. You and me and love make three.
My name is Gabriel Urantia. The following information comes because I am what is called an audio fusion material complement. It's a form of interdimensional and extraterrestrial communication, which is not the subject of this video. But you can read more about this in the Cosmic Family Volume 1. I wish in this video to shed some light on what is happening in the heavens and on the earth, and why it's happening. I do not wish to state what other truthers are teaching in their videos, but to try to add missing links. There are excellent videos of these truthers' teachings, like Naughty Beaver, Steve Olson of WSO, Terrell Blackstar, Mr. MBB333, Gil Broussard, Scott of Planet X News, and many others. Naughty Beaver is the chosen vessel to interpret the prophecies of Nostradamus, because Naughty Beaver was a student of Nostradamus in France at the beginning of the 16th century. Some of you may know that I brought through the continuation of the Urantia book called The Cosmic Family Volumes as an audio fusion material complement. And the main being that comes to me and fuses with me on a daily basis is called a finaliter, who has reached paradise and comes back to teach to the evolutionary worlds of time and space. His name is Paladin. For more information on this subject and much more, please read The Cosmic Family Volume 1 and my autobiography, The Divine New Order and the Dawn of the First Stage of Light and Life. So, let us begin. What is happening in the heavens basically is a result of the Lucifer rebellion that happened on Urantia 200,000 years ago, and now which is coming to a culmination, because every rebellion has to end. God is not the cause of pain or suffering of any kind. God does not punish. We punish ourselves because of cause and effect within the laws of God that were written before time began, before there was ever a free will sentient being. Goodness and truth usually are abused or crucified, like what happened to Jesus Christ, known in the higher worlds of time and space as Michael. Michael is not the archangel Michael. There are many angels who wish to be called Michael, but there is only one creator son of this local universe called Nebadon, that Michael has created, along with his complement, the Universe Mother Spirit, the whole universe, and everything within it. Because of the rebellion lasting for 200,000 years, and which has gradually gotten worse, technology has been able to reach the whole planet. Anybody can cause havoc from anywhere in the world because of this technology, using their computers to distort truth and misrepresent good people. With the Lucifer rebellion and the devil on this planet, who is actually called Caligastia, which is a secondary Lenandadek sun, he has been able to deceive the masses in a much more sophisticated way now, with the use of radio, television, and films. The real opiate of the people is the media that Caligastia uses. The Universe Mother Spirit within the earth, called Urantia or Gaia, is erupting with earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, droughts, floods, and other ways to purify herself. All of the higher worlds of time and space call this planet Urantia. We are also known as Earth, Gaia, because Urantia actually means water world or blue world. We are the blue planet. So the blue Kachina of the Hopi prophecy comes at the end of one age and the beginning of a new one for Urantia, as a sign to all of us on this planet of hope that Urantia will be new again. And the red Kachina is a sign of purification and fire, cleansing. The Hopis call this time the purification. And they received this information thousands of years ago, not by the Anunnaki, but by the Pleiadians, which the cosmic family points out is a universe called Avalon. The term Anunnaki was actually given by the indigenous tribes on Urantia approximately 200,000 years ago, in reference to the fallen 60 of the supermotor staff of Caligastia. Anunnaki, of course, includes Caligastia himself. As the rebellion went on in time, the word Anunnaki referred to all celestial beings and mortals who fell in the Lucifer rebellion, including mortals from the other 36 fallen worlds of Satania, the Anunnaki. The Lucifer rebellion in the Urantia book does not mention the name Anunnaki, but in later volumes of continuing fifth epical revelation, it does give information on this subject. Van and Amadon, mentioned in the Lucifer rebellion, were the first two witnesses of loyalty to the administration of Christ Michael and the Universal Father. Van, originally of the Pleiades, and Amadon, a native-born son of Urantia. On every repersonalization that Van has made, he started a new renaissance. On every one, he brought light, he brought truth, he brought beauty, and there were great opposition against Van, as there is today, as Van is not even recognized by the very readers of the Urantia book on this planet, and most importantly, in this country. It would be the will of Christ Michael that in these last days prior to the coming of Christ Michael back to the earth, and the end of the age of rebellion, and the first stage of light and life, that Van and Amadon would be again witnesses of loyalty to all of the Urantian races. This is happening today at Planetary Sacred Home. The Hopi Kachinas are representations of what they called the star gods. Pahana was a teacher who came to them from the east. Actually, the east being ancient Avalon, now called Glastonbury. And in the New World, where he came across the ocean, he lived for a while where the Iroquois Confederacy was started at the Three Rivers, now called Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And that's where he was born in this century, before he went to Arizona, or the Hopi land, in and around 1100 A.D. Paladin spoke through Pahana, and they called Paladin Masao, or the Enlightened One, as he speaks through Van today, as he speaks through Teleesfan today, and as he speaks through Gabriel of Urantia. They thought that Paladin was a god, but he is not. He is a finaliter. Paladin, or Masao, gave the prophecy of Prophecy Rock. The Hopis teach of the fifth world, which Paladin taught them about. That at one point in the future, the fifth world, or fifth dimension, would come to Urantia or Gaia. So at the end of the third dimension, Paladin brought through the fifth epical revelation to Van, which is now called the Urantia Book, the Blue Book, and the Cosmic Family volumes as the continuation of the first 1/10 of the fifth epical revelation, in which two are now published to the world. You see, the world has to be ready to receive the continuing fifth epical revelation. It is hardly receiving the Urantia Book. The fifth epical revelation will go on to be the sacred text of the millennium and will be taught to all the races of the earth by all the destiny reservists, first trained at the University of Ascension Science and the Physics of Rebellion, also called Planetary Sacred Home, and also called Divine Administration. Some reservists are now learning these concepts, just a handful, the first fruits of the destiny reservists, of the 144,000 that are to come at some point in the future. They are to be teachers of the fifth epical revelation, which is the language, again, of the Hopi fifth world. In reality, most of the billions of people on this planet are still in the third dimensional consciousness. They are stuck by religions. Only a few thousand on the earth, in reality, are actually walking into the beginning of the fourth dimensional consciousness. What consciousness are you in? The Urantia Book also calls this the fourth psychic circle, the fourth dimension. So the majority of souls on Urantia are walking in consciousness from the fourth to the seventh psychic circle. And just a small handful of destiny reservists and their children at Planetary Sacred Home, or Divine Administration, where the University of Ascension Science and the Physics of Rebellion is located, are beginning to walk into the fifth dimensional consciousness. But they have walked in the fourth dimensional consciousness for 30 years now, since Paladin has made contact with Van again. This has to do with stabilization on the third psychic circle, in which a human being then receives a pair of seraphim, their angels of enlightenment, to help them see through rebellious souls at a higher level, and to teach these souls how to overcome the rebellion within them, if these souls want to. There are 7 orders of starseed that are on this planet also. This is taught in Cosmic Family Volume 1. And there are over 700 million starseed, and more coming in every day. But the ones coming in since 1989 are higher orders. The most rebellious of starseed are called the 4th order starseed. But even the 1st order that comes in to this world more perfect can fall to rebellion if they aren't very careful. You see, if Lucifer fell, a primary Lenandadek sun, how easy it is for human beings to fall and become then from 1st order to 4th order and the new rebellious state. The subject of starseed, that is, souls of 3 other universes that are presently now on the earth, is a vast study that you can begin to learn about in the Cosmic Family Volume 1. And it isn't an easy read, like Conversations with God. It's a read that one must study, that one must show approved to God, so that you can rightly divide the word of truth. It's a study for the spiritual Olympic stars. The point that I would like to make today is that the first stage of light and life is about to come to Urantia, and the return of the promised one spoken of in all religions is soon to happen. The first year of the tribulation spoken in the book of Revelations and by Nostradamus himself has now occurred. And the earth changes, causing continued upheavals, and apocalyptic conditions will last another 6 years. Jacob of Israel and Nostradamus were the same soul. If you study history, you can find them. You can find the descendants of Jacob. You can find the lives of Van. Both Jacob and Nostradamus were prophetic teachers of the future. The Bible is a book of prophecy. The Urantia book is not. You must study both the Old Testament, the New Testament, and the 5th epical revelation. You say you have no time? You do not make the time. You watch too much television. So again, the soul of Paladin is both Jacob and Nostradamus. I do not know for sure if Jesus Christ Michael is coming to the earth soon, or a Trinity teacher's son, but one of them is coming. Maybe 2. You see, this planet is an experimental planet. There is nothing that has to be like other worlds. Urantia is an experimental world. One of them will usher in the first stage of light and life, and a new millennium of peace and justice for all mankind will come. My own personal opinion is that it will be Jesus Christ Michael coming, because he said he would return. And all the signs that he mentioned in Luke 21 and Matthew 24 of the New Testament are happening today. I would suggest that every Urantia book reader read those 2 chapters of the New Testament. But first, the earth must be cleansed. The good seed is being separated from the bad seed. This is called cause and effect. Cause and effect of evil, sin, and iniquity. These thoughts of human beings that cause havoc, because thoughts are energy. And the stars and planets are positioning themselves based upon these good and bad thought forms that is coming from the earth to the heavens. For thousands of years, there has been speculation by great mystics and scholars that what we think affects even the heavens, not the other way around. The Cosmic Family volumes teach a lot about this concept and even has a name for it, which I could not reveal at this time because many would take this truth and malign it in some way, particularly the teaching mission. Who is in contact with fallen midwares? The pure thoughts of free will sentient beings in every universe of time and space is the main energy that pilots the inhabited grand universe. I believe the Urantia book calls this energy Triyata, but this is not so much taught in the way that it needs to be. It is not just knowledge of any sacred text, such as the Vedas, the Old Testament and New Testament, the Quran, the Book of Mormon, the Urantia book, the Cosmic Family volumes, and others, but it is the actual application of the concepts of purity and obedience to God's laws and commandments in one's everyday life. Knowledge is nothing compared to wisdom that is worked out in everyday associations with one another by choice and choosing God's will over Caligastia's will for you. It is following of the will of God by His children that are the true sons and daughters of the universal Father of all. God does not look at your religious affiliation and how much you know in your head, but He looks upon the kindness of your heart and your service to each other, your service to humanity. And God's will is always service to others and obedience to one's elders who are more spiritual than you. Urantia movement has defaulted because those in the Urantia movement do not know who their elders are. Not from the distance. You can't know an elder from the distance. You have to have one in your immediate life that you can walk to, talk to, laugh with, cry with, and be guided every day. This hierarchical spiritual structure exists all the way to paradise and back. It was Jesus' example with His 12 apostles. It is an eternal concept. And you cannot ascend unless you have true spiritual elders in your life. There is no possible way. Otherwise, you can do what you want to do. No one's observing you. God's always observing you, but God observes you through His elders. So a church or a mosque or a temple where thousands are gathered has to make a way in which the people can be guided by personal ministers who love them and know them and can hear the will of God with them for their lives, and who can give individualized direction too. Jesus never practiced churchianity. He lived with his apostles and disciples and broke bread with them on a daily basis. They had all things in common, went house to house. Is this not what the Master taught? Men and women followed Jesus because they loved and knew him. Every true body of believers needs to be able to ordain and recognize other spiritual leaders coming up so that they too can be ordained or mandated to become elders themselves. This is the true body of the promised one. So the rebellion now on Urantia is, of course, in the religions, where a few individuals at the top control the masses of the bottom, but do not associate too closely with them. This is true with corporations. In a philosophical sense, both religions and corporations have their own doctrines. And these corporations control their constituents by paychecks, not particularly by damnation to hell like religions do. But it's the same thing. There's honest work and there's slavery. Millions and millions of people on this planet do not realize that they are slaves to false gods. As long as they have the status symbol of fancy cars and the luxuries of life, they have a false sense of success and a false sense of security. There are thousands of destiny reservists who are called of God, stuck in this false security. All of these things, through the tribulation, every false association will be destroyed. People's cars are now floating down flooded rivers, and tens of thousands of homes are being destroyed by the very water that they should be drinking and bathing in. Their homes are being destroyed by fires and earthquakes and sinkholes and tornadoes and devastating storms. There is only one true safety place to go, and that is the perfect will of God. There's no need to go to the Appalachian Mountains. Go to the Father and surrender everything to the Father and to Christ Michael, the Creator's Son, who came to this planet to represent the universal Father. There needs to be an international spiritual revolution, a spiritual revolution where billions of people decide to know the Universe Father's will above anything else. The Universal Father's will are one and the same. And they can begin then to grow food together in these days of scarcity, before there will come a time when you will not be able in the next 6 years to go to your Safeway or local supermarket. You need to be near water sources because there is enough water and more coming all the time. And all the toxic water that is now on the earth will begin to be purified just for you by angelic powers. When enough sons and daughters of God decide to locate at any one geographic particular place and follow God's will together. Let God lead you and God's will guide you. The aquifers underneath the earth may be toxic, or they can be purified. And this is happening now all over the earth. Toxic fish and sea animals are dying to make way for new fish and sea life of all kinds as a food source just for you in the new world to come. The purification of the earth is a cleansing period for the oceans and the land. I made 2 videos called The New Jerusalem is Coming and The Adjudicator is Coming. There is a lot to learn about the New Jerusalem and who is in it and what is propelling it and when it will land on the earth and where it will land, which is not the subject of this video, but that video is coming. The New Jerusalem does not cause the earth's destruction in any way or manner. It brings with it new particles, new DNA. Within celestial beings and mortals, many of which have never fallen into any rebellion on any world of time and space. That's one ship you want to be on. It brings your ancestors who have learned much in the mansion worlds of Satania. They all want a ticket to the New Jerusalem. It brings order and divine government and higher technology that will greatly increase communication and transportation on the earth. Now you are limited in your communication and transportation. Only the rich, or those controlled by the rich, who work for the rich, can travel. You can hardly afford gasoline in your vehicles. But the adjudicator, in which Lucifer is on, brings the cause and effect of every wrong thought since the Lucifer rebellion on that vessel. And Lucifer himself, who has been recently released from prison, is now on this prison world, which is not a planet, but a huge spacecraft that some consider a mothership. It is a dark architectural world. But that is too kind of a definition to call it, as some have said, who have first seen it around the planet Saturn and call it a mothership. Definitely a wrong term. Satan is not a mother. He is not even a father. He is a fallen primary Lenandadek son who lost his fathership when he disobeyed the Father's will and taught rebellious concepts. Sometimes the adjudicator stops for a period of time, and it is unrevealed why it stops, but it definitely is heading toward Earth. So, it's best to call it the adjudicator because its purpose and all the beings in it who have fallen to the Lucifer rebellion in Satania and who have died on the earth are now with Lucifer. They think in their cosmic insanity that they still can win and deceive all the earth and indeed take over control of the earth, aligning within dictators and madmen in governments all over this planet. Therefore, they do not have to obey any law of God or the commandments and do whatever they want to do, in a big sense creating their own God called Baal, just like they tried to do at the foot of Sinai when Moses brought them the 10 Commandments. That's a good name that they chose because they were bailing out on the truth. The closer the adjudicator gets, the more evil and iniquitous people will become, who have not turned over their lives completely to Jesus or the Universal Father or Allah or whatever you call your God. The closer the adjudicator comes, the Earth Mother will erupt, for she will go more in particle reality towards the center of the Earth and the core of the Earth, the underground. For everything above the Earth will become diseased. All the elements, like the people following themselves and not God, are diseased. The elements become diseased. The adjudicator has also been called Nibiru in centuries past, and it has come close to the earth before, and has also caused destruction. There are many new objects in our solar system whose name is Manchia. The newly discovered ninth planet is not Nibiru. The adjudicator is Nibiru. And it is in our own solar system now, right near Jupiter at this time. As a matter of fact, celestial beings of the administration of Christ Michael, when it passed Saturn, actually shot laser beams at it to remind them on the adjudicator, to remind Lucifer that the boss is in control. Christ Michael.
Hey everybody, this is Paula in Sweet Home, Alabama. I'm going to do just a quick video of this Saturn footage that I captured on 9/11, September 11, 2018. And anyway, this is the original footage. I don't have the original because I got where I don't save a whole lot of stuff on my computer anymore. I've fixed that problem, but anyway, I wished I'd saved this. But anyway, this is the original footage that I had done in the original video, and I didn't put the other footage until the end of the video. So I think a lot of people probably didn't have any idea that it was there. But anyway, so we're doing this video now. And so you're about to see, I bumped up saturation in contrast with Saturn, and this is what happened. The laser beam started popping off of Saturn, so check it out. Are they pixels? Yeah, probably so, but why laser pixels is my question. And that was on the 11th. I think that was when all the weirdness was going on with the solar observatory, and you know, we've got geomagnetic storms coming in, and so a lot of energy up in the atmosphere, so who knows. But anywho, check it out. Check out Saturn and its laser beams. It's like it's in a war or something.
However, Manchia, which is our solar system, is actually much smaller than our administrative system, which is much larger, called Satania. The goal of Satania is 1,000 inhabited worlds. At this time, Satania has approximately 637 inhabited worlds. In Satania, there are presently 36 other fallen worlds according to the Urantia book and CFER, and their energies are now aligning with the adjudicator, giving power to the adjudicator, which is directionalized strictly and purposely by Christ Michael to become the destroyer of this earth. The adjudicator has had many names throughout the centuries, but when it gets close to the earth, it always destroys. This is the first time that Lucifer himself has been on the adjudicator, as well as his followers that obey the will of Lucifer. You think you don't? Ha, think again. Do you obey God's commandments? Do you want the perfect will of God in your life? In the past, the adjudicator has been an empty vessel. A resurrection has already taken place, and those of the darkness are on the adjudicator with Lucifer. I repeat again. And this happened on September 23rd, 2017, when the great sign of the Virgin, pregnant and giving birth of a new world to come, happened in the heavens. The prophecies of the Old and New Testament are coming to pass. All prophecy is given by God through man as a warning to mankind, as a warning to humanity. And I should say, prophecy is also given to woman, not just man. Since Jesus Christ Michael came 2,000 years ago to the earth and was crucified, we must remember he was also resurrected. And when he then left the earth, he left behind what has been called the Paraclete, or the Helper, the Spirit of Truth, that can be activated in every human being on this planet. And this activation does not mean that you then are a Christian. It means that you are a better Muslim, a better Hindu, a better Buddhist. It may eventually lead you to the Urantia book. You can skip the steps. The teachings of the Spirit of Truth have often been taught wrong. It isn't becoming a Christian. That is not what Jesus taught. It's following the Father's will of one's destiny and receiving the fruits of the Spirit and the gifts of the Spirit. It's relationship with the Trinity. It's projecting love, joy, kindness, and patience and goodness to all human beings. It's being your brother and sister's keeper. It's the first commandment of God. Loving the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and your neighbor as yourself. It's not joining Calvary Chapel. In 6 years, there will be no more religions on the earth ever again. There will just be truth, beauty, and goodness. And we will all be our brothers and sisters' keeper. As the first book of the Pentateuch says in Genesis, the Cosmic Family Volume 1 states that in the system of Satania, there are presently 6 other worlds that have previously settled in light and life, that are aligning with Earth Urantia, and have been aligning since 1989. They are out there. They can't even be seen by your massive telescopes. Gabriel of Salvington, also called the bright and morning star, came to this earth in this era in 1989. If there are ones out there claiming to channel Gabriel of Salvington, it's a lie. He is the same Gabriel that came to Mary to announce the birth of Jesus, that also came to Muhammad, and that came to Joseph Smith and Gabriel of Urantia. He is not any part of Ramtha, Croton, or any other false channel. The energy called otter energy that is coming from those planets is a wonderful thing, and is also happening at Planetary Sacred Home, where the highest spiritual souls are gathered together to learn, to share, to give to each other, And the animals themselves feel it. They are coming up to windows and looking in. They are coming up to homes. They're landing on trees close to humans, more so now than ever. They are coming in masses, even from the seas. The animals feel the utter energy, and they want some. Human beings will find themselves, those who have taken tiny steps to find God and God's will, wanting to become now ministers, rabbis, imam khatibs, priests, and missionaries. They will be leaving the system in thousands and then millions in the next 6 years, meaning they will be leaving the third dimension and coming into the fourth dimension. Those who find themselves being able to reach planetary sacred home, the first 144,000 will become destiny reservists and the highest servers of humanity. During the tribulation period, they will become the first fruits. The energies of the 6 other planets aligning with Urantia are helping Urantia to come into the first stage of light and life by elevating human beings to be kind and obedient to the Father's will. This is what those 6 planets are doing, giving of their utter energy to the peoples of this earth, on this fallen world. By doing this, the utter energy coming from the 6 planets and the new seed of the earth is causing then the rebellious asteroids, meteors, and the other fallen 36 worlds of Satania and the elements within these worlds to come out of their orbits and the micro and macro reality. The end result will be the complete purification of Urantia Gaia so that the New Jerusalem can land on the earth and either Jesus Christ Michael or a Trinity Teacher Son will come out of that huge and magnificently beautiful architectural world. My bet? It's Christ Michael. But I'm a gambling finality. I'm a gambling man. Our sun is temporarily diseased because of the unpure thoughts of human beings. For the last 200,000 years, for the sun itself is a living organism. Every light star is. It's not mind, but it is a nourishing force. Therefore, a living organism. And when the tribulation is over, it will return to its 100% SON light, sunlight, to nourish the earth again. At some point in the 7th stage of light and life, it will no longer be needed because of the Deo power and utter energy of the minds of the total people of the earth to produce their own energetic light, which will nourish the plants and all living things growing over the whole earth. This is the light that comes from Alcyone of the Pleiades, a planet settled in the 7th stage of light and life, that your earth astronomers think is a star. As the adjudicator also can be called the dark star, because as it gets closer to the earth, those souls who live in selfishness, greed, and immorality against the laws of God will become emotional, paranoid human beings on this earth. The dark star will touch every evil, sinful human being on this planet. They will become more argumentative with their spouses, families, and people they work with. And many of them will not be able to hold down jobs, therefore not being able to support themselves or their families. So they will turn to crime of some kind, which is the only way they could survive. Many will turn to violence and murder, which will cause many governments to dictate martial law in their countries. There will be chaos on the earth. It is the beginning even now, with so many factions of all types right here in the United States of America. People will become more opinionated and indoctrinated into false teachings. Evil will continually be taught as the right thing to do, and good things will be taught to be stupid and naive. So more and more good people trying to follow the will of God will be coming together and doing what Jesus taught to do in the first century, to break bread together and have all things in common. Because this is the only way the good will be able to survive in the near future. Because the sinful, iniquitous people will get more bold in stealing from the good people. And those that have the money, the rich, they will hire armed guards and small armies to protect their properties from the gangs that will roam the earth, particularly in America. The leaders of the world who actually know that the adjudicator is coming, which they call Nibiru, actually don't want a third world war. This is propaganda. This is all propaganda that will continue to control the masses by fear. Only the craziest of the dictators may think they want to cause a war. And they think then that they can win, because this is what craziness does. So there will always be a wild card. But all the powerful nations will most likely come together to destroy that nation if the leaders of that nation become too crazed in their ideas of world domination. The Palladians who are here and who have been here for centuries are the ones making the crop circles, along with the 1,111 loyal midwares of the earth, and will always be a strong force of the light to contend with if man tries to start a nuclear war. A nuclear war is not necessary to bring the world to the first stage of light and life. The coming of the adjudicator is all that is necessary. Combined evil thoughts of humanity is all that is necessary. So the next 6 years will be very, very chaotic. And it would be very wise to venture into the third dimension as little as possible. And basically to leave the third dimension if you are in it and trust God for your sustenance. Because there come a time when you will not be able to leave it. You will not be able to travel. You will not be able to buy food. You will not be able to communicate to others in your city, state, country. Let the Spirit of truth that you can activate within you be your daily guide. Those of you who hear this video and think that you are a destiny reservist in potential and want to serve humanity and leave the system and follow God's perfect will and become a missionary to the cause of building the kingdom of God on earth, you can go to this link and fill out the form and say you are responding to this particular video. One God, one planetary family.
I am thinking about forever. And just how it's gonna be, you and me and love make three. I am thinking about orange juice ponds and pecan trees.